Oh well, the timer quit. I wasn't fully finished yet, but the timer reset itself. So let's get started. Good evening, good morning, good day, everyone. Let's just say good day. However people feel today. Let's talk colors and pigments and just have a good time in the chat. And please pour yourself a drink if you need one, wherever you're from. It's 5 o'clock somewhere. I do like it. Or good night. I have I think it's a gingerbread coffee. But it's really nice. Sound is great, video is okay. Yeah. Still can't afford a better camera, sorry. But thank you, Ian. I don't know if you know a pumpkin spice latte or a pumpkin spice kind of coffee, Sebastian, but it's about the same thing. Same-ish thing. It's not really the same, but if you like the one, you probably like the other as well. Or there are spices that you don't like that's in them, but yeah. I think Sebastian is a bit behind with the video. Not quite sure. So today I want to show you my new muller. I want to talk about that quickly. Sylvie, welcome everyone. By the way, welcome. I haven't said welcome to everyone. Gulchen, Creative Colors, Sebastian, Ian, Mr. Pigments. I've seen a couple of you on your laptop. There is no chat. That is weird. Is there kind of a space on the right side of the screen that you need to kind of slide outwards or something like that? Maybe refresh it. I don't know. Look, there it is. So I want to talk about the new muller. I don't want to talk politics. The only thing I want to say about that I do worry a bit about my my business now. Looking at that, the US is one of my most of my the larger part of my customers are from the US. So I really hope that my paints don't need to get more expensive than they already are for handmade products. Because of things. So that's my worry over here as a business owner, as somebody who just wants to share his passion, and well, hopefully that happens enough through here. But I really like to physically share that passion with you in the form of a product. Since last time I went live, that's what it was, Thursday, by the way. Last week, Wednesday, I think, or it was Thursday. I quickly showed you the YouTube short that kind of went, I don't want to say went viral, but it got 100,000 views last week. I'm now at 350,000 views with that one. and instead of €3 something, I made €7 something because of that YouTube short. It's not bragging at all. It's just showing that a viral short like that really doesn't bring any cash. But as you can see from the counter here, you might be able to see. I've also gained like a few hundred followers, so that's cool. I really appreciate people following me for whatever reason. If it's only the YouTube short, that is fine. Hopefully, maybe we'll meet them here as well if they're interested. Otherwise, well, we will see. But yeah, sorry, I missed something. Oh yes, Mark. Sorry, my chat box is really small, so I sometimes there is something I miss, but I absolutely agree, Mark. I'm really I'm just going to highlight it here. I'm really thankful for everyone who is joining us every week in the chat, just as viewers as well, which is also valuable enough for this community. If it only helps you listening, or if you enjoy listening and reading the chat or seeing colors, it's enough for me. If you're joining the chat, adding to the conversation, to the community, to this little group of people we have weekly, even better. Just share your passion, share your love for things, and while sharing that, hopefully we can include more people to have a little bit of positivity at least once a week on Wednesdays. Hopefully more often for everyone. But let's make this a positive corner of the internet. That is a good question. What pigment am I going to mull with a new toy? Let me first talk about the toy and answer your question. Sebastian sent me some pigments from South Africa, and I actually wanna try them today. At least the yellow ochre one, which I'm really curious about. Thank you very much, Sebastian. Big shout out. But we've spoken behind the scenes, and that really means a lot to me as well, Sebastian. For me, it's actually a highlight of the week as well. Apart from me having good times, with my kids and all the positivity that they bring as naive little people in the world that don't know anything about whatever is going on anywhere, and I want to keep it that way for them, because them having their little frustrations about nothing and finding joy in things that we just overlook is something really valuable from having kids. So I don't want to get emotional here. I'm going to drink it away. No, but that's apart from that, this is a very, very, very good place to be. So I'm really glad that well, I can kind of put this online every week. So about the muller. There's a close-up picture of the muller behind me. That's the little swirl you're seeing instead of pigments this week. It is the muller, and this is the view you're having. There's a couple of things about this muller, and one of the wonderful things about this, it was made for me, shape-wise, weight-wise, size-wise. And I think it took me, not him, not Thomas, but it took me about 2.5 years to finally make a decision what kind of muller I wanted to have as a custom muller. I counted and my mullers, and I think I have 14 now in my I want to say collect, and let's just call it a collection. 14 mullers is at least 13 too much if you just want to make paint. And I think this is, I have three larger mullers, including this one. This is my larger muller. I'm not counting this. I'm talking glass mullers, by the way. I'm not counting the stone ones or the brass one. I'm not talking about the antiquities, but about the things that I can actually use. I also have an antique glass muller. Now I am bragging. About this muller. So let me get to this page. About this muller, it's 15 centimeters in diameter. To put that in perspective, this is the biggest one that Kramer used to sell. I said used to because they stopped selling the big ones. And it's a lot smaller, but the weight is the same. This is 1.4 kilograms, and this is also 1.4 kilograms or 1400 grams. For everyone who uses something else than metrics, I have no clue. 15 centimeters, 1.4 kilogram. Metrics. The main difference between these is obviously the size of the base, the shape. It's kind of what you prefer. There's a longer chat here before it is. Oh, I have a mouse over here. Let me quickly. Old days, this is exactly why I started weekly things. I suggested this a while ago to start a Discord channel, and I had a Discord channel corner with Mr. Pigment's Discord channel, but oh, do they, Sylvie? They still offer the 1.4 kilogram. Not here, not to as an export. Maybe inside of Germany. Maybe. I need to check it. But old days, exactly the same thing. So for me, it was my friends, asking, how's your business going? And basically, there's the same thing as people asking, how's work going when you have an office job, for instance. And even when business was not going well or was kind of flat, or not active at all, like now. Literally, my shop is closed at the moment, and I'm trying to reopen in 2 weeks, by the way. Still with pre-orders, since I have too many things going on at once. But all things I think deserve some time. So, I need to read the chat. So I have the same issue with friends. Even when my business wasn't going that well, I still had a lot of fun going to work, working, doing things, searching things, researching things, trying new things and buying new things. But it's about pigments. That's just something that most people don't get. I'm right now. I'm in a room filled with literally from that wall over there all the way to this corner here, filled with pigments. And I'm in my happy spot here, I think. And yeah. Let me quickly get back to the chat, and I'm with the happy spot. I mean, literally this studio, but also here with you guys because everyone just, you understand, we understand each other. Sorry, Sylvie, you wanted to have a comparison. Pigment numbers. You're not the only one, Gulchen. About the pigment numbers, let's try to use the paint name or the pigment name and the pigment number for everyone who doesn't get that yet. Sentience. Yes, this is a very, both actually are very well sized mullers. Well, we're happy to have you here all days. So Thomas Petit, I asked how to pronounce his last name. Well, it is a French word, petit. It is kind of pronounced in an English way, so Petit. And since I said I'm going to talk about the muller. There was one thing with the muller, and I'm just going to be really honest about that. I told him as well, because I'm about transparency. Well, Ian, thanks for pointing this out, but having over 5,000 jars of pigment doesn't make it not a collection, whilst also being an obsession, right? I mean, one can be both. Anyway, because of this width, it wasn't fully flat when I got it. It still looked as beautiful as it did now, but it curled up a bit. Like, imagine this being the muller here, and the glass did this while making it a bit, because of the huge surface. And I talked about Thomas with this. It was like a day after I received it. I opened it in the evening. I only noticed it the next morning. I sent him a text and said, what can I do to fix this? Because I want it to work, and I want to support this, but right now it's not really comfortable to work with, because it was kind of wobbling. It was kind of, I could literally move it with one finger. There was some unevenness, and I didn't know where, but there was one side you can still kind of see it. I don't know if you can see a rougher, you see a small rougher line. It's very, very vague, but it's a rougher patch over here, just that side. And I took some carborundum powder, silicate carbide, 200 grit. So that's the mid-course, medium course version. And I just resurfaced my slab entirely and flattened the muller for 45 minutes. And I have muscle aches on places I never had them. It's yeah. It was quite a workout, but it managed to, it did a perfect job, because it couldn't do that, like, this. So I was able to fix it. He also offered me to have it sent back on his costs, so that he could fix it, but I would feel bad because of import things and everything that comes with it. So if you can fix it yourself, that's better. But he said it was, this is such a large area. It's quite easy for those things to happen. Mind you, it is a handmade product. I have flaws in my paints as well. Things I overlook, anything. So it is a handmade product, and it is beautiful. So that's the only downside. Like, it wasn't plug and play when I first got it, but that's just also on me. He says, he never had that with the with his regular millers. So he sells small, medium, large millers. He never had that with those. But yeah, that's what happens when you order a custom thing, I think. That's what can happen. The white one, if you are interested in it, I love his millers and the beautiful colors that they have. I was kind of thinking maybe the deep blue, or maybe the teal, or there he has an amber mix, which really looks nice. White, he doesn't sell that, and I asked him to use white for mine because I want to be able to see where I still need to clean it. Now he showed me the version 1 as well, Sylvie. I don't have it at home. You might be able to buy it from him. I don't know. Might be possible. Let me quickly have a look at this, because I noticed my laptop is having a hard time. I don't know what it's doing. Is it making a backup? Oh, it's making a backup. That's why. Mm, that is nice of him. Tell him about the live stream that we're doing now. That's the only downside to this version, and he knew about that. Version 1 had it as well, by the way. He tried one that was a little bit too small, or a little bit, I don't know, it wasn't exactly what I asked, so he made another one for me, and the version 1 was white as well. White as in the color, and also wide. Sylvie, tell him about that as well. It is a small business. You're a small business. I worked something out with Thomas. Please ask him about it. There is one big difference which I noticed between this and there's a different look to the glass, and I don't know if you can, or you can hear it. This sings. I don't know if everyone knows what I mean. But I have no muller in my entire collection that sings. Let me have a look if I can make it more clear. No, I did it quite clearly when I was cleaning it yesterday. And I asked about, what kind of glass are you using? It is a crystal glass. It's a 24% lead crystal. So there's lead in it. Why do they add lead to crystal? To make it more flexible. If you have an entire 100% crystal glass, one glass with a very thin neck. Is that the neck? It would break if you swirl the wine. I learned this from my brother. And if you put some lead in it. It makes the glass more flexible. This comes from a crystal factory that had kind of chunks, parts of crystal they didn't use anymore, or were cut off the actual products, and they distributed those to glass artists, and he uses those for these. And you hear it. You hear while you're mulling, while you're cleaning it, you just hear a different sound, and that's the first thing I noticed. Apart from the shape and size and the look of it, and it's just a beautiful, hypnotizing piece of art like this. But this was something that stood out immediately the first time I was actually cleaning it. It is a bit on the large side, even for like where I want to, like on the big slab. But I made a couple of paints with it now, 4 paints with them, hydrophobic, you know, all kinds of paints, just to have a good feel on how this is different than my regular mullers, and it works for everything, which sounds weird. You might think, okay, but this one should work for everything as well, right? Yeah, absolutely. But size-wise, I wanted to know, like a really hydrophobic one. I could add another layer to PY 129, which I made 2 weeks ago. It is a very dusty, very light one, very dusty one. Yeah, and yeah, it is high quality glass. So it is a crystal glass. And just, you know, as a reference, that is a regular muller from an art supply shop. There is a clear difference, and hopefully you heard that as well, as clear as I did. Why is this having a hard time? Let me quickly have a look. We can't quit this, right? I think. Yeah, it is because of the backup. And that makes it a heavier type of glass, absolutely. So let's start making some paint. I'm already in the good camera angle, so. This is, Sebastian helped me with this, Khoisan yellow ochre from South Africa. Hopefully I'm pronouncing that in the correct way. I don't want to complain or anything. I don't have my, that's right. I don't have my order from Kramer yet, so I don't have the more sits pigment yet. One moment, please. Okay. YouTube thinks I'm using too much bandwidth for my video or something else. I don't know why. Not doing anything differently than I usually do. Sylvie, yeah, for me it was a little bit too expensive as well. If I'm going to be really honest, it wasn't something I should spend my money on. Especially after today, I should save up a bit more. But they claim that it's one of the most vibrant, if not the most vibrant natural green pigment. And that made me curious because there's not a lot of natural green pigments. Green earth, yeah, we have some lakes and natural plant greens, and there's malachite, and that's about it when it comes to the like full-bodied greens. There are more minerals that give a slight green, but not like malachite could give, or earth green, or a good earth green. All day shipping from Kramer. I don't know where you are located, but for me, usually it's very good. Sometimes I've had times when I asked for some products which I wanted to add to an order I made online, and without me knowing it, they already added those, or I actually said I want to buy those. They just didn't add things, but when I said I actually wanted to add them to my order, they did, and it was sent literally within 3 days. I had my order. I think right now, Sebastian, this already looks like a very, very nice ochre. Actually going to make some more, I think. Right now, a week and a half ago, I made the order just before the weekend. Then on Monday, I called them to add some extra things to my order. And I think 2 days ago I got the shipping label. So I'm going to add this to the screen. It's a yellow ochre I picked up near Cape Town and processed it myself. I'm currently looking for a golden ochre in South Africa. So really like a clear golden, bright golden ochre, from what I understood from you. For me, in the Netherlands, shipping, depending on how much you buy actually, but usually I'm between 10 and 15 euros lighter after shipping. So, which is okay, because that is like the maximum I paid. And I've had orders with like kilograms of pigments. All those wooden collection boxes I have, which are very heavy. It's a solid wooden box with glass bottles of pigments, and those little glass bottles are quite thick. The walls in the bottom of the glass. Next time I should restart my laptop, or no, I just need to turn down the. It says it's almost finished. I have an external hard drive in my network, and it's making a backup right now over the internet. And it's taking some of my bandwidth for you. But it's also, I don't know if you hear it, you probably hear it. You'll definitely hear it. I don't think they do free shipping. At least, not that I know of. Okay, Sebastian, I am going to mullets. Oh, Sylvie, I really, how many times can one person say I? The jar, like ultramarine green, ultramarine green, by the way, green, um, which also came in a plastic bag for me. It was custom made for me, so no complaining here, but I kind of need to pour it really carefully. I do enjoy the moments of pouring these plastic bags in a glass jar. You are from the Middle East. Well, Gamer is you need to check their website if they have like a store locator, not like an actual gamer store, but because they are only in Germany and in the US. But they do have sellers that sell their pigments. So it might be worth a look. Sebastian, this is a beautiful ochre. It has some slight, it is a bit deeper on the camera, and also, which makes that muller pop out really nice. It has a slight kind of creaminess to it when I look at it in an angle. I like it. Jackson's. Mark, if you're here, I have the tubes. I bought empty tubes from Jackson's because they were the only ones that sold 14 milliliter tubes with a nice cap, because that was important for me as well. So I ordered that and I got this box. This big, filled with boxes which are filled with, oh no, this is, oh, that's a lutea pigment, by the way. Was curious about that. In that case, this can go away. And now I'm doing multiple things at once again. I want to show you the tubes. So I bought these, and they actually charged me shipping. I think they charged €1.30 for shipping. And I was super surprised by that. And Carmine, the violet one, there you go. I was super surprised by it. And then I thought, oh, I need to add some pigments. So I went back like a euro. I can afford that. For shipping. So I added some pigments, and then the shipping was €20 or something. Just some things I wanted to try. So I'm glad I added to Litea, because those weren't things I needed. I didn't buy them eventually. Let me quickly get back to the chat. Sylvie, how do you empty the bags in the jar? I'm just curious. Gulchen, the shipping from Japan is the reason why I didn't buy any pigments from Pigment Tokyo yet. I've seen some very nice, interesting pigments there. But it's not only the shipping, it's also the import fees. And for everyone not from Holland here, which is most of you, I think, you pay taxes, import taxes, which are the VAT is the valued added taxes, 21% for us, because we're not buying. Art supplies used to be less, but pigments aren't art supplies. Pigments are raw materials for making art supplies, making them more expensive in VAT. And you need to pay handling fees, which can make a product where you originally kind of paid €100 for it, you can end up paying 140, 50 euros in total eventually. So 40 or 50 euros extra. That's the 21 euros of VAT, and then the handling fees and processing fees and all the fees with that. So yeah, it sucks, and I think that's only getting worse now. I don't know why, because of a reason, because of today. Cutting the knot off. Yeah, that's exactly what I do as well. Yeah, I think it's very, very calming to do. I do it outside above it's a large plastic container, because I have white tiles in my bathroom. Oh, I don't want that. JD, welcome. When you're transferring pigments to jars, I like an icing pipette. Fair enough. Fair enough. You bought the full-scale replica of the Master Sword, Gulchen? Hi, what's colorists? I'm by again. Going to another live. This is our time. This is our time. Which live? At least share that. Oh, my replica collecting urge feels this, Gulchen. I've had a when Lord of the Rings was released in cinemas, I was what was it, 15-ish, and I started collecting those kind of things, but from Lord of the Rings. So I have a fair amount of swords and a wand. A staff, I'm sorry. Harry Potter has wands, which he also collected. So I have a fair amount of swords from Lord of the Rings, but I always felt the urge to look into the Master Sword. I had a small replica which you got with the Twilight Princess when you bought the deluxe edition with the soundtrack with it. Wow, I sound way nerdier now than I can remember I was. But anyway, no, I have the United Cutlery replicas of the Lord of the Rings swords. Quite a lot of them. And it is so awesome to, you know, the feel of them. It's just, it's way too good. Yeah, I think I didn't keep the box. A gouache session? Are you leaving us for gouache? What is this, a watercolorist? It's in your name, watercolor. Anyway, a watercolorist, you're leaving a session where I'm using my new Muller, making paint with a pigment that Sebastian sent me, so straighten your priorities, I would say. No, do whatever you want to see. I don't mind. I won't be mad. Just slightly disappointed. No, it's not true. Not true at all. Now, Sebastian, let's swatch yours on a 300 grams piece of watercolor paper, or 100% cotton. Yeah, I know, gouache is also a type of watercolor. Wait, did I miss anyone? Anyone's chat? Because I see that there were a lot of yeah, that would be awesome. Thanks, Gulchan. This is a beautiful ochre. I need to use more water. There we go. It's not silly questions. There are no silly questions. Well, there are silly questions, but this is not a silly question. Why wouldn't it be okay to mill cobalts outside with a mask? It is okay to mill cobalts inside with a mask. I would suggest not eating anywhere near it. Let's quickly get this water away here so I can show you from up close if that is kind of let's get the lighting better, and 3 2 1, there we go. Finding the focus spot and hoping the white balance is okay. Still going to quickly adjust the image a bit for you. Why is it doing this? That's weird. It is very, very beautiful, but I'm not going to tinker too much with the cameras. Yeah, this is an ochre from Sebastian. He collected it and purified it or cleaned it. So Sebastian sent me this, and I just made this paint, which is really, really a really beautiful. This isn't. There we go. I only need to. Oh, it was a nice try. Now the camera is weird again. 180 degrees, and then mirror it horizontally. And there we are again. So there we go. This is the ochre from a little bit more up close with a camera that actually shows the colors well now. But old days, it is safe to work with cobalt inside. The good thing about cobalts, and basically most hazardous or slight toxic pigments, is that they're heavy metal pigments, literally. So they don't fly away as much as a phthalo or a quinacridone pigment would do. You shouldn't kind of breathe those in constantly, but a cobalt is heavier, making it less likely to have it fly around. Just be careful. Mix it gently with your palette knife. First wet it, you know, the way I just did with this. Ochres are the same thing, by the way. It's not dangerous, but they are earth pigments, and there is manganese in an ochre. There is a little bit of everything. There could be any element in an ochre. It's a earth pigment. Also, if you are going to be more serious about this, masks are a good thing. Having air filtration, any kind of air filtration. There is quite a cheap one, like a smaller one. It's like 35 euros, I think, from IKEA. If you have an IKEA there, it does the job. It does a job, at least more than nothing. And I think that's an important thing to remember. If it's not optimal, if it's not perfect, it's still better than having nothing, I think, if you are making more paint. But yes, everyone is absolutely correct. This is, and I'm just going to highlight this. This is truly, truly, truly a wonderful and beautiful yellow ochre. And I'm very curious, Sebastian, if you don't find this golden enough, because for me, I know what you mean. I know, you know, I've seen, if you're thinking real gold ochre, you actually want to have this when it's wet paint. So this is kind of a light mustard color in its mass tone, but a golden ochre looks like this when it's laying here. So there's a difference, like a bright gold nose. So I know what you're after, but still this looks like a beautiful ochre. Well done. Yeah, old days, I would go there and just, I have 3 air filtrators from IKEA here, which I will connect it to like a smart button, and they go on all at the same time when I need it. But that's a good start, absolutely. So Ryder, welcome, hello. Sorry for my late reaction as well. Yeah, new muller, but also a pigment that Sebastian sent me, which was a beautiful yellow, goldenish yellow ochre, which I'm going to scoop into. Shall I make these into dots? Let's make some dots out of it. I have a little candy jar with my dot pens here. How's the wine, Ian? I would love a glass as well, by the way. This is a PY, or at least PY. This is, no, it's not. Yeah, it's PY. I don't know. This is a pigment that Sebastian collected and cleaned. If I would see this in a store, I would say it's PY 43. Yeah. That's good to hear, Ian. Is everyone getting a drink here now? I will join you, but only if everyone else is joining me as well. And for those of you who are still living in the morning, it is 5 o'clock somewhere. Oh. Or in this case, almost 10 o'clock in the evening. You ordered a small beer from your husband, from your what, you ordered a small beer? Well, old days, I have a larger one. I might be able to show you here. Let me have a look if I can. Yeah, there we go. So this is my setup over there. I have a larger one over here, and you know, all my other setup. That's you guys. This is a larger one over here, and then I have next to me, and I have two smaller ones there in the corner. But also have an air conditioning with active carbon fiber filter in it. Active carbon filter in it, which also purifies the air in a way that most air conditionings don't do. Usually they only have dust filters in them. So basically I have 4 things that filter the air for me here. Ryder, you mean pellet knife? Because yes, these things are dangerous sharp. As in, like, this is too thick. Well, it's not too thick. You can find. This is 300 gram paper. And I can literally, oh, there you see it over there. 300 gram paper, full cotton paper, and my pellet knife. So if you meant pellet knife, yes, these get dangerously sharp. Even the point, I cut myself on the point while just tapping it like on it. How effective is that carbon for VOCs? Well, basically, it should capture all PM2.5 and PM10 particles out of the air, and PM1 as well. Yeah, I know it's a poor swatch paper, but I wanted to show you that a palette knife is like, it's really, really, really sharp. Can't wait to see this dry as well, Sebastian. Thanks a lot for the samples, but also I can show. Sebastian sent me a few things from there. Two files of the yellow ochre, a beautiful red ochre, Sebastian also sent me a beautiful piece of rough malachite, but literally from Nambia. A piece of azurite, beautiful blue azurite. A polished piece of malachite. And a rough piece of yellow ochre clay. I'm really thankful, Sebastian. This is like I said, I've spoken with him before last week, and I'm really, really, really grateful. This really means a lot, and they are beautiful samples. Curious if that actually will give you a violet, Ian. Just curious about that. Let me get. I've never. I came across ochre a while back, or it was. I still need to clean it. I put it in a jar here. It's from a forest here nearby. It clearly was a type of clay. It's not sand, but I wanted to get rid of all the impurities on the top, so I let it sink down to see what kind of color it gives. But the most of it is like a dullish, raw umber-ish kind of brown. Yeah, the violet minerals is what do I mean? What? Oh yeah, sorry, Sylvie said that. I'm sorry. The violet minerals like amethyst. No, it's not true what I'm saying. Quartz crystals, so things like amethysts or a rose quartz or anything like that, will turn to a grayish kind of color. Tiger's eye is also one of them, which turns into it does turn into a brownish color with a sparkle, but it loses its depth, it loses its effects entirely, and the more transparent it is, which tiger's eye isn't, the more transparent it is, the less you'll end up with the color. So how was your gouache Avenger, a watercolorist? Well, if it's a violet slate, slate can still give a nice violet-ish gray, for instance. There's a microphone over here as well. Côte d'Azur violet from Kramer. Côte d'Azur violet, which was a violet, which is violet-ish. Making this into a paint is rather dull. It's rather grayish. It's not. I wouldn't say it's like a vibrant violet or anything. Oh, well, wow, Sylvie, sorry, didn't even read your comment there. If we can look under the microscope, I think we can. I'm not going to prep my plate in a way that I'm fully sealing it, okay? That way I can actually do it during the live. So I won't use any top glasses as well. In that case, what I'm doing now, I'm not going to use gum arabic for it. I'm only going to use a drop of alcohol, and I need to find my small spray bottle for that. There we go. A drop of alcohol and your yellow ochre, since the alcohol will quickly evaporate, giving us more time to look at it. Like I said, I'm not a professional at all when it comes to scientific stuff. I've tried my own methods in a way that's fun for me. I'm spreading it out a bit right now to see the separate particle sizes, and the alcohol evaporates quite quickly, which gives us the opportunity to look at it under the microscope. Or if you want to send me, absolutely. I'm down for that. A quick look. Almost evaporated already, which is a good thing. Let me have a quick look if I can focus. Here. The thing with yellow ochre, though, Sebastian, with earth pigments in general, is that when we're not working with a transparent material, sometimes it's harder to see the actual yellow. I think that might be the case right now, but we're just going to have a look. And I am afraid that I bumped into my phone stand for this, but I didn't. It's perfectly aligned. Look at that. Can we actually see me? Hello. So is that the best camera we can use for it? I don't think it is. I think it is because I'm looking here. I should have used the other camera for that. Well, just let's get rid of me. This is your yellow ochre, Sebastian. And I have to say, it looks quite stunning. Quite yellow, if I may say so. It is alive, yes, but also because that's the alcohol still evaporating, so it might still be moving. You can see an impurity. Larger pieces, smaller pieces. Let's zoom out a bit. Let's have a look. To this lens over here. And let's go to... These are the bigger particle size. You can see those with your eye as well, or when I put them on the little piece of glass, I could actually see those larger grains, which you clearly see over here. There's a piece of orange or red as well. Let's look a bit closer to that, shall we? That's definitely a larger grain. As you can see, the smallers are in the back and the larger is over here. Let's have a look what it does when I'm turning the polarized light. It has a harder time focusing with that here. But that's also the autofocus of my phone, which is really annoying during the live. I can't control that. Let's see, have a look if I can. That's too dark. If I can darken it a little bit, the light, getting a little less light in there, so we can just focus a bit better. But looking at just the pure way as it was just now, the white balance, that is not working for us as well, which is great. Sorry. But yeah, there you go. Looks beautiful. Let's have a look if we can actually have a little bit of light from the top and see what that does for us here. Although I should really have a look at this thing, since I definitely need to move something away from the inside of the microscope somewhere. And I don't exactly know where that is. But there's something that doesn't belong there, and I think I found it. So this is not light coming from the bottom, this is light coming from the top, shining on your pigment. So you get a little bit of a different view on how it reflects light. But then again, the auto functions on everything that my phone does. It makes it weird sometimes. But yeah, that actually looked very, very, very yellow underneath the microscope as well. So to be honest, I think you did a great job. As a pigment, it worked really nice. It looks really nice. It's swatched really nice. And it mulled really nice. And it was not because of my new muller. Maybe that helped. And it's a really fine pigment as well. So very nice, Sebastian. Thank you. Let me first get this. Natural pigments. Just add them to this. Thank you very much for the pigments and and the mineral samples. I really appreciate it. And I'm happy to be able to show everyone here as well, because I think that is fun to share this, to be able to share this with all of you as well. No, thank you, Sebastian. Really, it's a pleasure to do it. Thank you so much. I think I am going to pour a little drink after I clean this. Just a tiny one. Oh, that's a good one, Ian. I fully forgot one thing, and that's a positive thing, because it was a very, very, very fine pigment to work with. But I'm also going to put it on the Hackman gauge to actually show you how fine. Are we still able to do that with this? I don't think we are. It's too dry. Now I'm just going to use one little dot of paint for this experiment, or not experiment, for this test. So starting the NYX software. It's not just how they swatch, but for me, working with single pigments, it is quite a large part of it. But I agree. But there might be people who are better for that. I think, wow, okay. Sebastian, my compliments. That is this was a drop of water which I swipe with it, but it is a really fine, it's like 4 microns, I think. A really fine earth pigment. You should be proud. Yeah, that was a fun live, Mark. Thank you. But it is something more, I think mixing paint is interesting when you have pans of paint in front of you, and but I'm not a painting channel. I make paint and I swatch paint, but there are way more talented people than I am working with watercolors here in this chat. And mixing colors and things like that is something I leave to the professionals. That's a nice little diss over there, a watercolorist. You should be satisfied. It is a beautiful, beautiful pigment. Oh. That is true. Creative colors. Like this is my new muller. Hey, what's colors? It is true, and I will think about how I would do something like that. How I could do something like that in the future. Can I tell some basics about PR3? Let me have a look if I have it, and I might be able to show you. But first, before I forget, before we start doing way too chaotically here, let's share the screen as well. Where are we? Screen sharing. There we are. This is the yellow ochre, Sebastian. So it is a beautiful, beautiful, beautiful example of a yellow ochre. And let's have a look with Kramer pigments from a French ochre, for instance. What that looks like is over here. And this looks over here. So this is, I don't want to say it's the same. Can we make it small, a lot smaller? No, we can make it smaller. It is very similar to a Kramer pigments. This is a gold ochre, for instance. Yours is like a French Yete class. It's a way of cleaning. It's a way of purifying the ochre. This is my favorite French ochre, the Yete class. That's how I pronounce it. Could be other ways for it. And yours is like almost spot on. So I haven't checked the research yet, Sebastian. I've had quite a busy week, and I haven't checked the pigment as well. Only looking at it. Like I said, I've been rather busy. Let's have a look. Sorry, I had PR3 question. I think I did have it. Did I? Yes. A few. But that doesn't help me. Let me first pour myself a little drink. Thank you again, Sebastian. Thank you, literally. Thank you. And then I'm going to have a look if I have PR3 because I think it should be somewhere, but I'm quite afraid it is not within my bottle section of pigments, but in the bag section of pigments. I'm afraid. Might be. Wait, maybe it is here. What is this? PR3. Well, that was fast. PR3. What made you laugh, Paolo? Yeah, but the PY 4377492 is, I think, the same with everything, isn't it? The 77492. I will look into it, Sebastian. I don't want to. I want to read about it now because then I'm going to read and fully absent here. Or I do want to read about it now, but I think I'll do that at another time. So what kind of question do you have, Sylvie, about PR3? It is not light fast, so this is why I wasn't sure if I was going to find it. Cheers, everyone. Don't buy that. Sorry, Gulchen, I had a sore throat there. Yeah, you can buy it. I think the marketing with some brands, and maybe the one that you just named, Gulchen, I don't like the marketing. I don't like how they approach things. I'm drinking a tiny layer of scotch. Let me quickly have a look at PR3. Well, artist creation says used mainly in printing inks and student or low quality paints. May require wetting agents to disperse pigment into binder. Not recommended for permanent artwork. So it's a cheaper pigment. I cheers to that as well. No, it's not a traditional Scotch glass, but it's all I had here, so. I have their black 3.0 to try it, how black it was. And to be honest, it's flat and black, and I like it, but the way they, especially the blacks, is maybe one of their things that if I would need a flat and dark black, they have a black 4.0, which is even blacker, blackier. And I like that. The white, the Yves Klein blue that they marketed is not even the bluest, flattest paint I've used. The bluest, flattest paint I used was a gouache, an acrylic gouache, ultramarine blue PB29. And the other thing with Culture Hustle is, and I've talked to them about this. Stuart Sample blocked me, but Culture Hustle itself, I talked to them, and I asked them why aren't you sharing pigment numbers? Because they had a fantastic new line of paint that would free the art world and blah 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 blah. You could trial and blah blah blah. So I contacted them. Like, I'm interested in colors. I make colors myself, and a professional interest. Just yes, I wanna experiment with it. Why not? Because, but then I said, I only want to experiment with this if I can share pigment numbers with my audience, because if we're saying we want to free the art world of restricted colors, then why aren't you sharing what's in them? Like, why aren't you sharing pigment numbers, pigment index numbers, the ones that all professional paints put on their label? I said that in a comment, and I got so much hate for that, of other people saying, why would a company like this share it, because it's a company secret, and a chef isn't giving its recipe, blah blah blah. There's loads of blahs in these stories. These were followers of them that reacted on me, and I said, well, professional paints, if you've ever used professional paints, they are named model paints, like Faeo. Is that pronounced the correct way? I don't know. Model paints, they use pigment numbers. Acrylic markers, they use pigment numbers. Ink, they use pigment numbers. Oil paints, hobby paints, watercolors, everything uses pigment numbers on them. So what are you talking about company secret? These were followers of them. This is not Culture Hustle saying that to me. These were followers defending them. A little bit like the DS tragedy, where their fans just attacked for them, and there was like, all I'm asking is for transparency. You're claiming one thing. I want to know what kind of pigment, not to replicate it, but just to hobby model paints. You can look up the pigment numbers. Oh, maybe they're not on the bottle. That may be true, Mr. Pigment, but you can look them up. At least I did a while back for some model paints. Yeah, the pink is pink thing. Yeah. But it's their Tiffany isn't unique. Their Yves Klein isn't even near the actual, isn't even close to the actual thing. Maybe their pink is pink, but it's not lice fast, so it won't be the pinkest pink after a week or so. It is. I'm missing a lot, I think, here. Thank you, Mark, for, I'm just going to highlight this because thank you. The other thing is, and that this is for watercolor paint makers mostly. When I'm renting, let's rent in a good way. I don't know what I wanted to say. I don't know. There's just too much going on. Oh yeah, for watercolor paint makers, there's already a binder in their pigments, so you can't ever use their pigment without already having like a binder in them, and it's not nice. It's not nice for if you want to make the pinkest pink watercolor paint, you cannot use their pigments because they're already they already have kind of glue in them. So yeah, I'm not buying paint if they don't share pigment numbers. And of course, with the Yves Klein, there's no way to not know that wouldn't be PB29. But the medium it's in and the pigment load it has isn't higher, even it's less than some acrylic gouaches I've used, which are also permanent when dry, were also flat and fully matte, non-reflective, and way deeper as a blue. I've made a painting with it once. It was way deeper than anything that stuff came out of that bottle from theirs was. And it's a shame to have such a blown up marketing thing about things that, you know, you can't be honest about in the first place. No, but the Paolo, this is absolutely true. Um, Same with DS. Let's just call it CH. If you like it, no issue with it. Just do whatever you like. Use whatever you like. That's. I'm happy for you if you like it, and there's no judgment here. But again, cheers. Someone who was selling paint and not disclosing their pigment numbers while also complaining about DS. Wow. That is terrible. That is quite kind of embarrassing. I have to say that there are a lot of watercolor paint makers that don't share their pigment mixes, and especially in mixes. And it's funny enough, I don't know, where was it? The website, I don't know. Was it artistpigments.org? I'll look it up later. You can actually see it. All their single pigments were labeled because they used the name of the single pigment, phthalo, ultramarine, things like that. But their mixes, like Unicorn's Mane and Scotch's Angel Share, I don't know. There was no pigment information on artistpigment.org behind it because they just didn't share it. And I think, you know, it's nice and all to have your paint in a database like that, but yeah. What did I miss? Oh, yeah. Diaz uses just synthetic pigments in their their mineral pigment paint series. um, but yeah, it was proven um, by World Pigment Day on Instagram a while back, a few years back, and they shared pictures, microscopic pictures of it, showing the synthetic thing and just saying that there is not even 5% of the actual mineral in the paint in that sample that she tested, and they went full in attack mode and defense mode, and they didn't answer anything. They came up with statements. They came up, anything. So this is something I like. To talk about. Paolo says I also dislike vanity names on paints. So like unicorn mane. I agree with you. I don't prefer that for my paints. Sylvies, thank you for joining, and yeah, please send me a DM. Thanks for joining, and have a great evening. Unicorn Fumet, that's also a nice one. It probably is a 8 pigment mix, something like that, with mica glitters. But yeah. Thing with those names is, in the beginning, I was very tempted on doing it as well, because I noticed that people who did that, it looked on social media, it looked like that business was doing quite well. But I just kept to myself, and I'm really glad I did. Also, I got a question just for you as a group of pigment and paint people. I've seen it recently on Instagram. Maybe you have as well. Not going to name any accounts or makers or whatever. But I've noticed that over the last years, I've seen a few handful of accounts doing it. I introduced my split pans a few years back, which basically was an empty watercolor pan with a little separation wall in between, giving you 2 quarter pans next to each other, small quarter pans of paint. So you can have 2 panes in the space of one, which I really liked. But then there were people who were marbling their paints together in their pen, making it an unexpected mix of colors every time you wetted them, which was, I get it, like from a mysterious kind of standpoint. I get that sounds nice and looks nice. But what do you think about paint that is mixed in the pen without having it fully mixed. I see some that put a dot on that side of the pan and a dot of that side, and they kind of layer over each other like that. So every time you go over it with your brush, you have a different mix. I myself, I dislike that because maybe I'm too narrow-minded with that. Yeah, exactly, Paolo. But I work with single pigments. Period. I have some mixes, but also those are solid color mixes. Creative colors, yeah, I get why they're doing that, but it's like a gimmicky thing because yeah, you know, I think. And I like to get, something going about that here because I don't know what I think about it. I wouldn't make those myself. That's something I'm very clear about. I wouldn't make that myself. I'm not going to say I would never do it, but right now, I wouldn't do it. And for what I see my but you're not in control, right? You're not in control over how much of which pigment. But that's what I'm kind of after as well. A watercolorist. I don't think I agree with you, creative colors. Not in what I like to make when I made things. But that might be a preference thing as well. So that's the difficult thing for me. But standing out in the crowd is difficult when people copy you, and when copying goes to copying badly or not understanding the essence of the idea, it gets a gimmick. I think. But it wouldn't be mixing on your palette, just as oil painters would do, not separate little pans in your palette, but like a big ceramic plate, for instance, and mixing on that. Be more interesting and more spontaneous than having a paint maker marble two pigments together. But Mark, what you're saying just mixed PY 150 and PY 110. But these are two single pigments that you mixed and dried and played with. And the thing that I kind of dislike about this idea is that the paint maker decided which the two pigments are that are marbled in the pen or that are separate in the, or kind of married together drop wise in the pen. You're playing very deliberately with two pigments of your choice, and you know, how do they here react, and the experimenting, and the fun thing that we did last week, adding a little bit of this and adding a little bit of that, and what it needs to lean a bit that way, and but two pigments, and especially because I've seen that quite often with these paints as well, they don't name the pigment numbers with them. So you don't know if it's two single pigments that are marbled, or if it's like a 4 pigment mix that is marbled with a 3 pigment mix. Yeah, I don't know. Sometimes I just can't wrap my head around that, and thinking like what you're saying, Mark. It stimulates your creativity. That's what I really like. And creative colors, I don't say there's anything wrong with this. I was just wondering what everyone's opinion is about this, because I really didn't know what my opinion is, other than the fact that I saw something and copied quite often after that. I didn't really know how I felt about it. Not really how I think about it, or if I would do it or not. I wouldn't buy it. I wouldn't do it. That's me now. But how I felt about that. And that was kind of a, yeah. Wolfgang, thanks for joining. And that's how if I'm reading your comment here, that's how I would feel or think about it now if I read it like this. Yeah. Is it a technique though, creative colors? I mean, a technique is something you can master, and something that is uncontrollable, uncontrollable. Wow, or unpredictable. Would that be a technique? Yeah, I don't know. It's just a question. Handmade paint makers do them, Mark. But having something that gives you an element of unpredictability, or an element of surprise or mystique. I don't know. I do support that. But it was just. Yeah. No. But that's creative colors. I totally agree. But the latter, what you said. The trick is to predict in advance which color combinations match or how colors react with each other. I know that. I am aware of that. As a paint maker, I'm aware of that. But I'm thinking from the yeah, the maker side, like the artist side. Bye, Ryder. Thanks for joining. Hope you have a great day and enjoy your dinner. Mark, mostly on Instagram, I see them. And this Wolfgang is exactly from which kind of perspective I make my paints. So, and that is why I struggle with the idea on how to place them on the spectrum of whether it's interesting or not. And Paolo, that's a very good one. If you really like a certain pen, you wouldn't be certain if you can have the exact same quantity of the mix next time. At least not the way the examples that I've seen. But to be clear to everyone here, this is not an attack on those pens. This is not a judgment, or this is nothing against those. This was just wondering how do people feel about this. Like it was more a poll on is this something interesting for me to look at the future, or do I stick to my gut feeling that this wouldn't be for me. So it was more meant for this, instead of saying it is good or bad or something. I have the feeling that I need to defend myself, which I'm not going to do, because it was not really meant in such a way. But yes, Paolo, let's stick it with that. If you're happy using it, or if you really like using something, then use it. It wasn't something that I was like planning on doing, but it's something that I've seen repeatedly over the last period of time. And as a paint maker, it is interesting to know, or to think about other things. I mean, thank you, Wolfgang. I'm not in doubt of the quality of the paints either, apart from the fact that if they don't name pigment numbers, I wouldn't buy them. Thanks, Paolo. Thanks for joining. And it's getting late. It is getting late. Oh, Sebastian, but that is really easy. Making synthetic paints feel like natural pigments. I've tried it in the making a violet out of amethyst video, and in the end I added dioxazine violet to the amethyst gray that I made, and it felt like a mineral pigment while painting, and the swatch later when it dried, it felt like it as well. It had that grittiness to it, which is really nice, because you can just add any quartz powder to a very fine synthetic pigment, and it feels natural. And let me just happen to have no, this is not really pigment, and this is the wrong camera angle. Some of the amethyst. But yeah, that works wonders if you just add a fine quartz dust to any synthetic pigment. I've tried it a while back with phthalo green as well, a yellow shade. Wolfgang, I'm going to highlight that as well. I appreciate it. The granulation takes me to another thing. There was an artist on Instagram explaining granulation last week on Instagram on a video, and they explained it with what happens when two pigments mix together and it gets that, well, the granulating look. And it kind of bothered me that, I mean, in the end, he said, as a reaction on my comment, he said, yeah, it's more clear in mixes sometimes, which sometimes it is, but it's a shame that it doesn't highlight the pigment property of a single pigment. And while you can get a pigment property to be more clear in a mix, I find it a shame that it was quite a large channel as well. It was explained in such a way. No discussion about it. It was just something I wanted to get off my heart. I want to share with you. Lots of people don't know what granulation is, or think there's something wrong with the paint or things like that. And that was another thing with the paint from CH, to just call it like that. I think they released their watercolor palette. Yeah, I was working with watercolor back then, and I liked the colors back then. But when I started learning about watercolors and pigments and pigment properties and things like that, I noticed that none of them granulated. Everything had the same kind of intensity in the pan as well. The same kind of intensity, the same kind of depth, the same kind of... Everything felt flat and lifeless. When I got to learn to work with... I did work with other paints before, but when I got to learn to work with pigment properties and single pigments and things like that, so I asked them as well, is there any pigment information about this? What kind of pigments do you use? No, they are artist quality pigments, all very high in light fastness, but we won't share the ingredients because that's top secret. And I think I never touched them after that. It's not that they weren't nice for some things. But yeah. They weren't for me anymore after that. Sebastian, a poll about what? Oh, creative colors, phthalos, and I think we talked about this last week, maybe 2 weeks ago. Phthalos and quinacridones. Those are just as mixers. Have your phthalos, quinacridones, and maybe a good yellow, and you can get a long way for anything you want to do. I think a watercolorist, you are right about that, and that's also why they, at least you saying it like this, I used to work with watercolors, and I would go over them in parts for details and highlights with colored pencil. I ended up liking the Luminance series from Caran d'Ache a lot. They have pigment numbers, but I was looking for some, instead of mixing pastels and lighter things for some highlights. The pastel pencils from Japanese brands, I was amazed by those, and I really started to like them. Yeah, you're absolutely right about that. Creative colors. It was last week that we talked about this, I think. I don't know. I did make PL48, quinacridone burnt orange. I don't know if we talked about this last week. Maybe I can have a look which brand it was. Guys, I think I'm going offline. It's getting quite late. I noticed my eyes are getting quite tired. I'm very glad I could show you my latest muller. I can I? You don't know what I'm going to say, but probably can show you. I will show you that the next time. I think, yeah, I thought, maybe I can show you the different sizes and mullers that I have right now. But then I need to get them of that cupboard over there, and it's late, so yeah. It's a very, very, very good and nice way to go. Creative colors. There's a say for there's something to say for everything. I think a week ago, I spoke with someone who only started using earth colors and mineral pigments instead of synthetic things because of the feel of it, which is also, I can fully get you, but I can fully understand that as well. Thank you very much, everyone. Thank you for joining us again. Wolfgang, thank you. A watercolorist, I do love the Muller as well. It is quite unique. And in case you missed it at the start of the stream, for anyone who was a little bit later, this is crystal glass. So it is crystal instead of my other Muller that does, which is quite a difference in sound. So yeah, be hypnotized by the Muller. Sorry. Can I just do this? And I can just say, everyone, I hope you're having a great rest of the day or evening. This is a Muller from Thomas Petit on Instagram. He is a glass artist, so you can use it as a decorative item as well. Absolutely. Now I'm really tempted to get all of my Mullers, because literally 12 of them are decoration, which feels weird saying that. Well, Yeah, I hope my kids, I won't force them. I teach them sometimes about colors. I talk with them about them. I bought a book for them to teach them a little bit of English before colors. It's about how colors and pigments were introduced and used in history. It's a kid's book, but it's informative and it's about what I do as well. So I really like that. And I sometimes just go sit in my studio here with them, and I show them colors, and I tell them stories about different colors, and sometimes we make slime together, you know, with hobby glue and borax and things like that. And making slime, and we're adding a little bit of mica pigment to it, and which makes it magical for them. And yeah. I picked the color. Old days. I asked Thomas to make it white. He doesn't offer white on his website. He didn't have any white mullers on his Instagram as well. But especially for you during the live videos, when I'm working with a little bit more difficult pigments, like a quinacridone or phthalo, like last week, cleaning a muller, especially during a live. Because, you know, I'm talking, I'm cleaning, I'm doing all stuff at once. I want to be clear what kind of color is left here. And he makes beautiful colored glass mullers with the color of swirl in it, which makes cleaning more of a struggle. You know, practical thinking. Old days, before colors. It's like a big, thin but big book with very nice illustrations, very nice information. It's a fun thing to share. They're not always interested in it. Sometimes they just want to watch Bluey or something like that. But there are also times that we just sit on the floor, the three of us, and I explain them about different colors or where colors come from, or yeah. So Muller questions: does crystal work better than glass? Doesn't necessarily work better, but for its I can show you that. So these two, and I will just lay them on their sides really carefully. These two weigh the same. And while this one, the right one, is a lot wider, this volume is, well, it's more glass. But this being a crystal glass, meaning it has a 24% lead content to the crystal, making it heavier as well, and also a little bit more flexible. Not that I would know it's flexible, but less fragile than this. Why white? Because I can see all colors on this except for white. White obviously as well, because, you know, this. I could have also made it fully kind of clear, but this adds to the handmade vibe to it, and like its uniqueness, I think. But I can just see every color that there is on the muller. With this muller, it is not fully clean yet, and I might be able to show you that there's a little bit of red kind of shine to it. You see that? Creative Colors, it is for me, it's really hard to say if I feel a difference because the handle and the way everything goes with this one is very different from everything I have. So I can't really compare that. I can't really answer that question unless I have a muller that is the exact same size and well, weight not, but the exact same size and shape as the other muller. So I don't feel the difference while doing this because that's only holding a shape and moving weights around. I do notice when cleaning it. Yeah, it was, yeah. I just have a tiny screen there to preview it. But this one I used this afternoon for a test of a 2 pigment mix with staining pigments for my spectrometer, and I noticed just before going live, I had it standing there. There was like a red shine to it, red shine to it. I want to avoid this, so that's why. On how it mulls the colors, I don't notice a difference between glass and crystal in that case, but also same answer basically. This used to be my largest muller. This is right now a few centimeters wider in diameter. I noticed that there's a lot of more. Oh, it's obvious. There's more surface area. I especially noticed that difference. Let me just put it like that. Again, I wouldn't know if I had a 15 centimeter glass muller if that would feel any different. Mulling paint. Yeah. I have the paint maker's friend soap. I think it's called paint maker's friend. I don't know. No, it's not paint maker's friend. Artist friend. I don't know. It is a artisanal soap, which I can. But this goes off with water as well. I just didn't wipe it off thoroughly enough. It's getting really late now, guys, for me, so I'm going offline. Creative Colors, thanks for joining and the questions. Hey, what's colorists? Ian. Who else was the old days? You were here as well. Everyone else who I'm missing. Wolfgang, I think you were gone already. Mr. Pigments, I think you're gone as well. Anyone else having? No, I'm not putting it in the dishwasher. I'm not, what is Ian? What? Come on, no. Gulchen, you're here as well. Good night, everyone. Have a great day, and hopefully see you next time. Maybe I'll go live again this weekend. I'm not quite sure. Maybe I'll drop by tomorrow. I don't know. Anyway, the scheduled one is next week again. So for everyone who joins me in a spontaneous live, feel free to join. Otherwise, hopefully see you next week. Bye, guys.